Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Spellbook deck profile. So this deck is a really awesome deck that was really relevant when Dragon Rulers were around. This deck is a really fun deck that just got new support in the form of Crowley, the First Prophesier. So this card really makes the deck really busted, and I have some interesting combo choices or tech choices for this deck to show you guys. It's a little bit more of a control variant and a little bit less of a beatdown variant that I've had in the past. So this deck is really fun, and it's actually fairly cheap. I went a little bit more of a budget build with this build opposed to the expensive build. And the interesting thing about this deck is with the Order of the Spellcaster deck profile or deck that just came out, you're getting the majority of the stuff that you need between that, dual power, and between that and dual power, and Infinity Chasers having the Spellbook of Knowledge in it. You can pretty much build this deck for, dirt cheap now. So let's get into this, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think of this video down in the comments down below. Hit that bell down there so you can become part of the notification squad, and let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of the best card in the deck. Well, one of the best cards in the deck, and that is Spellbook or High Priestess of Prophecy. You just reveal 3 Spellbooks in your hand, special summon her to your side of the field, and then banish a Spellbook card from your graveyard once per turn, or from your hand or grave, and then destroy a card on the field, which is really cool. World of Prophecy we play as a 1-of in this deck. World of Prophecy is good because when it's special summoned by the effect of a Spellcaster type monster or a Spellbook spell card, you can target 2 Spellbook spell cards in your grave and add them back to your hand. And then if you have 4 Spellbook spell cards in your hand with different names, you can reveal them to destroy all other cards on the field, which is just absolutely broken. And it's amazing to be able to stack this with cards like Spellbook of Power to make it even bigger. You can make it as much as 4,900 with Spellbook of the Master and Spellbook of Power combo. Then I'm playing one of my own personal choices. I haven't seen anybody else play this in this deck, so I want you guys to comment down below. Tell me what you think it is. I'll reveal it in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. So this is my personal tech choice, and that is 1 copy of Demok, or Dark Magician of Chaos. So this card is extremely easy to summon now, with the effect of Crowley being the last effect of him is each turn 1 level 5 or higher spellcaster type monster can be normal summoned without tributing. So you just instantly normal summon out Demok, which is amazing to be able to say that you can do. And during the end phase, you can target a spell card in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. And then if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, or if it's going to be sent to the graveyard, you banish it instead. And if it was going to leave the field, you banish it instead. Then I play 3 copies of Temperance of Prophecy. Temperance of Prophecy is the kind of like the special summoner of the deck. During your main phase, if you activate a Spellbook spell card previously this turn, you can tribute this card to special summon 1 level 5 or higher light or dark spellcaster type monster from your deck. This is the card that you're going to use all the time to summon World of Prophecy or Dark Magician of Chaos to be able to OTK your opponent extremely easily. Then I play 3 copies of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. Magician of Prophecy really helps out the deck as well because it helps with consistency. When it's normal summoned or flipped face up, you get to add a Spellbook spell card from your deck to your hand. And it's just as simple as that. It's kind of like the Stratos of the deck, but it lets you add any Spellbook spell card, which is just absolutely crazy. Then my next tech choice that I've chose to play is 3 copies of Yugioh, the Spiritualist. This card is really good to be a more control-based deck. You randomly discard 1 card from your hand to the grave to destroy all special summon monsters on the field. In addition, as long as this card remains face up on the field, monsters cannot be special summoned. Which is just crazy to be able to just blow board and then go against your opponent with this card and just be able to go, okay, you can't special summon. If you're playing against something like Mech Knights and they can't normal summon any monsters, or you play against a deck that doesn't normal summon, even if you play against Sky Strikers, it can really hurt your opponent unless they have something like Widow Anchor or something like that. And if you have Spellbook of Wisdom, I believe it's Spellbook of Wisdom, yeah, Spellbook of Wisdom, you can protect him as well from spells and traps, so you can kind of just win off of a Yugioh. It can really stall out your opponent, and they have to deal with this first, and since you play 3 of it, it makes it really easy to continuously just destroy your opponent's side of the field. And the cool thing is stuff like Boral Sword and stuff like that is not immune. The only one that's really immune to this is Boral Load because it cannot be destroyed by card effects. So, a lot of cards that are link summoned, he can deal with very easily. Then we play 3 copies of Ash Blossom because you just want to stop your opponent from doing all sorts of things. So we play 3 copies of Ash Blossom just to stop our opponent from making all sorts of crazy plays. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. And the spells is really where this deck excels because it is, haha, spellbooks. And you guys should totally give me a like. I actually went out and got the mat for this deck profile. I've had it for a little while. Savannah actually, I believe, got this mat for me. And I really wanted to be able to do spellbooks on this mat because I really think this mat is gorgeous. Being able to have Priestess and Temperance on the same mat is just crazy. So then we play one copy of Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn just helps us bring back stuff like Jogan and our, spellbook, High Priestess and stuff like that. Spellbook of Wisdom, you can either call spells or traps and target spellcaster monster you control and negate. It's just unaffected by spells or traps, whichever one you choose. One Spellbook of Life. Spellbook of Life really helps out in this deck because it's kind of like Monster Reborn in a way. You get to banish a spellcaster monster from your graveyard and one other spellbook spell card from your hand to target a spellcaster type monster in your grave and special summon it in attack position, but change its level, increase its level by the level of the monster banished. So it just helps us bring back Priestess or something like that we need to be able to go after our opponent. I play only one copy of Spellbook of Eternity. You can target banish Spellbook spell card and add it to your hand. I just play one copy of it because I feel like it's searchable and I don't really need more than one. 2 copies of Power. I feel like Power is just absolutely one of the best cards in the deck. You get to target a face-up spellcaster type monster you control until the end phase. It gains 1,000 attack, and also, each time it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can add a Spellbook spell card from your deck to your hand. Now, there's a really nifty combo with Spellbook of Masters. Spellbook of the Master, you can actually activate this and then target this in the grave with Spellbook of the Masters and get it the effect twice. So it actually gains 2,000 and you get to add 2 cards because both of these trigger at the same time because this counts as that, which is cool. Because the effect of Spellbook of the Masters is if you control a spellcaster type monster, you can reveal this other spellcaster or spellbook spell card in your hand, then target a spellbook normal spell in your grave and apply this effect as if it was its own, which is a really cool effect. And I really love that. So it just counts as it, as long as it's in the grave too. So then we play 3 copies of Spellbook of Fate. Spellbook of Fate is kind of like the removal of the deck. I usually only use the 3rd effect of Spellbook of Fate, which is you banish 3 spellbooks from your grave and then banish a card your opponent controls. And it doesn't target, which is crazy because you can do stuff like I go up against a buddy of mine named Lane. And as I was working with this deck, I was like, wow, I could actually take out Chaos Max with that because I don't have to target it. And a lot of cards that aren't targetable, you can activate this and then just banish a card your opponent controls. So Spellbook of Fate is really important to the deck, and it's really a good card, and I think it's a good 3 of. Then I play 3 copies of Spellbook of Secret. Spellbook of Secrets is just basically the searcher of the deck. You add a Spellbook spell card from your deck to your hand, except another copy of itself. That's all it does. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. 3 copies of Spellbook of Knowledge. Spellbook of Knowledge is the newest addition to Spellbooks. You get to send one spellcaster type monster you control or one other Spellbook card from your hand or face up from your field to the grave, and then you get to draw 2 cards, which is really cool, and I really love that effect. 2 copies of Grand Spellbook Tower. You need double Tower. I was playing it at 3. I think it's an okay card at 3. I think it's good at 2, though. Once per turn during your standby phase, if you have a Spellbook, or if you have a spellcaster type monster on your side of the field or in your grave, you can place 1 Spellbook spell card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. And if this card in your possession is destroyed by a card effect, you can special summon 1 spellcaster type monster in your hand or deck whose level is less than or equal to the number of Spellbook spell cards in your grave, which is easy to have like 2 or 3 because you can just special summon out if you have 2, your target is going to be this, your Magician. If you have 3, you're really just going to have the target of him, which is going to be, you really just want to target him, or sometimes Temperance. You might target Temperance and special summon this if your opponent like Twin Twisters it, or if you have a bunch of cards, you can special summon this, or if you even have 9 late game, you can special summon out your World of Prophecy, which counts as a Spellbook spell card that special summoned it, which can really help out with your combos. Then for the last 3 spell cards I play in the deck, that is 3 copies of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave helps out because you just want to stop your opponent from hand trapping you, because we do a lot of searching in this deck, so you want to stop them from Ash Blossoming you. So that's it with the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. And I will be totally honest with you, you don't have to play an entire extra deck in this deck. You just really need a couple of cards. I do have a 15-card extra deck prepared for you guys, but you only really need a couple of these cards. So we're going to play 2 copies of Crowley. You can totally play Pot of Extravagance if you have it in this deck. I just don't have Pot of Extravagance, and I didn't want to make the proxies for them right now. But you can play them by dropping like Monster Reborn, maybe a Secrets, or not a Secrets, but a Master. Maybe drop 1 Master, Monster Reborn, and I don't know, a tower or a power, one of those two, and you can play Extravagance if you want to. But I'm just not a big fan of it, to be honest with you, right now. Maybe when it gets reprinted. If this card is link summon, you get to reveal 3 spell cards in your deck with different names, and your opponent randomly picks one, so it's kind of like Tin Can in a way. And you get to add it to your hand, shuffle the rest back in your deck. And then it has the other ability that, like I said before, you get to normal summon a spellcaster type monsters level 5 or higher for just normal summon it without attributing, which is really cool with a lot of your cards. Topologic Bomber Dragon, I just threw in here because it was a good generic Link 4. Borreload, same thing, Boral Sword. You just want to have the options to be able to do these things against your opponent and have the ability to go for it. I even thought about throwing invoked cards in this deck to be able to make like invoked spellbooks. Topologic Trispania, I make this card very, very rarely. I had this here for like Altergeist and stuff like that. Triple Burst Blast Dragon, just to negate spells and traps or monster effects is activated. You can quickly, during the damage step, you can just negate them. So it's good for that and inflicts piercing damage. So it's just a decent overall card to be able to use. Unicorn, just to be able to bounce stuff. Phoenix to be able to pop spells and traps. Cerberus to pop monsters. Lane is just here, or Lan is just here, just to kind of have the option to make it, because it helps out if you have like Draco Sack tokens, which I do play Draco Sack, to link both the Draco Sack tokens in, and then link this and the Draco Sack away to be able to summon out Nightmare Unicorn or Trispania or even your Triple Burst Blast Dragon. Underclaw Taker is here because you can just, this is one that I make quite often to be able to boost my monsters. Flare Metal, just to be able to burn my opponent for damage. Draco Sack to be able to pop my opponent's cards, and it's a really decent card to play in spellbooks. And then 1 copy of Big Eye just to be able to take my opponent's cards off their side of the field. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. This deck is super fun, like I said. It's super easy to build, and it's pretty budget now, to be honest with you. I would estimate you could probably get the whole deck and a Endymion deck. You could probably get both of them at the same time, a pure Endymion deck, which I did just do a deck profile of that one where you guys can see a budget version of that. You can probably get both of them for around like $50, to be honest with you, which is just crazy that you can build 2 good spellcaster decks for that cheap. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you think of the video down in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.